another great episode. Miss Jackie, how are you?
Doing good. I can't believe we're 2 weeks away from Thanksgiving at the time of this recording. Wow, that's crazy.
Yes. In Canada, we do have our Thanksgiving first.
Oh,
Yes,
you do. Yes,
we
that's right.
did. We didn't advance. So I think in the US, November, what day?
It's the last Thursday of November, so it's coming up the 27th. So 2 weeks. Yeah. Yep.
Okay, happy Thanksgiving. So, Miss Jackie, what will be our verse that we will share to the world today?
Yes, I thought this would be a good one, and it again came up in the Bible app, which is a great sign that I need to do this one. First Thessalonians chapter 5 verses 16 through 18. I'll do the NIV version. Rejoice always, pray continually, give thanks in all circumstances, for this is God's will for you in Christ Jesus.
Interesting. Rejoice, rejoice always. So, Miss
Yes.
Jackie, rejoice always seems impossible, especially times of grief, pain, and or despair. How is it command to rejoice different from simply being happy?
Yeah. So what's really interesting is that there's rejoice always, right? Is there's the Greek for that, which is Cairo. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that right, Cairo.
Mm-hmm.
And so that means joy rooted in God's grace, not in how the day is going. So I really like that, that there's that Greek of that. So joy is not pretending everything's fine, but that we can rejoice even while we grieve because we're anchoring in who God is. I think we've talked about that before in our other episodes. So we're anchoring in who God is and not what we feel right now. So it's not about feelings, but it's about anchoring ourselves in that. So I really like that Greek word, that Cairo, and what that means. So it's neat.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
After Aristopoli, as they said, the Greek people. And Miss Jackie, is rejoicing always more of a disciplined choice, a conscious act of remembering who God is, or rather than emotional state?
I think it's about remembering who God is because I think if we can anchor ourselves in that, anchor our heart in who God is and his character, and not anchor so much on our circumstances, I think that can be something that we can weather the storms and we can weather those hard times and anchor ourselves and anchor our heart on him and know that we will things will be okay because I've been through my challenges and I'm seeing other people around me go through challenges, and it's tough sometimes to go through that, but I know that if I anchor myself on his promises, his character, that he doesn't change. He's the same yesterday, today, and forever. So as long as I anchor myself on that, and our listeners can do that, I think we can weather that.
Yes, definitely. Yes. So, what is the unshakable foundation for a joy that persists always? It's not rooted for our past salvation, our present relationship with Christ, but our future hope.
Right. So, yeah, I think this is really important because we don't want to look at what the world is telling us is pure joy, right? Or what the world is telling us is this is how you're going to be happy or joyful, but we need to look to the eternal hope and the eternal joy that God is going to give us beyond what we have now. So, I think being able to anchor ourselves in that is so important because we can see that that's what he's going to offer us, and eternity is so much longer than what we'll have here on earth. So I think we need to look to that and set our eyes on that and set our eyes on eternity. So I think that's so
Mm-hmm.
important. Hmm.
Miss Jackie, praying without ceasing. What does a pray continually look like in a flow of a normal, hectic day?
Yes, so I think that is it's literally turning towards God. So it's an ongoing posture. So I think praying that continual prayer of and seeking him always. It's not just those little scheduled moments of 5 minutes here or there, which you can do. I mean, I do that all the time. I have those moments where I
Sorry.
pray to him. That's okay. But I think it's also that, yeah, that turning toward him. And I think those even, and I don't know if you do this too, but I do those little short, honest throughout the day prayers. It's just little tiny things like if you feel like you need, Lord, help me, or thank you, be with me, give me wisdom, things like that. Those little things that, little nuggets that you can say throughout the day. Doesn't have to be fancy, right? It just has
Mhm.
to be honest and genuine. And so there's times where I feel like I have the anxiety coming up, and I'll just say, Lord, be with me. Or I'm facing something where I'm making a really big decision. Okay, well, Lord, give me wisdom. So I think that is, to me, is part of prayer. Being able to just have that conversation and know that even though you may not hear Him back to you, the Holy Spirit can actually, I've there's times where I've felt those moments and I'm like, oh, okay, well, that's Him talking to me through the Holy Spirit. So as long as you're connected in that way, then you know that your little nuggets of prayer are being heard, and he's
Yes.
doing that and working through people or through your circumstances. So yeah. Yeah.
Definitely ask Lord, please guide me, give me wisdom, and be
Right.
with me always.
Absolutely.
Yes. So the posture of prayer, Miss Jackie, how does these verse transform our understanding of prayer from being an activity we do for the posture we inhabit? What's the
Mm.
difference?
Yeah, it's interesting too when I was putting this into Chat GPT and asking for like the historical information, it
Mm-hmm.
actually gave me this little line, and I love this, and it's actually something I've said to other people in some way or another, but it's basically like, sometimes people think, and I've heard people say this, even other Christians that say, well, I went to prayer as a last resort, and I'm like, prayer shouldn't be the last resort. Shouldn't be a backup plan, right? It should be how we walk our through our day with God, like those little nuggets I talked about. So I think that's something where it becomes a part of who we are, and it becomes a part of our daily walk with God. So yeah, I really liked when I saw that, because yeah, that's kind of what I say to other Christians when they're saying, oh, well, prayer, I thought about it later, and I'm like, yeah, it should be part of just our daily routine, just like we get up when we brush our teeth, and then we brush our teeth when we go to sleep. It should be that routine, and something that it's ingrained in our lives as believers. So yeah.
Yes, people, if it's part of your routine, it's easy for you to do.
Yes.
And especially early in the morning, meditate and ask God for help and be grateful in everything.
Yes.
So, Miss Jackie, can practice like breath prayers or the idea of spiritual mindfulness help us to fulfill this command? So, how do we turn mundane tasks like driving or doing a dishes into prayer?
Yes, I like that. Yeah, I think you can even probably even put on for me, when my mom and I are going somewhere, like to a doctor's appointment, or whenever we're in the car or something like that, we'll have good uh, music on that's uplifting. Sometimes we'll put on the Christian radio station. Usually that's what we have on, and I think that really helps because it gets us in that mode, right? Of because driving can be stressful, right? Let's be honest. If anybody lives in any city, they know how driving can be stressful, or you're trying to get to the doctor's office and the traffic is not cooperating, right? And you're like, I'm going to be late to my doctor's appointment, and then they go to take your blood pressure. This happens to me. I get that. I have that white collar syndrome. They go to take my blood pressure, and it's off the charts, right? And they're like, what's going on? And I'm like, because I'm stressed. So I try to make sure that I have that good posture of going, wherever I am or whatever I'm doing, to put on that good uplifting music, or if it's calming music, sometimes I want that. Sometimes I'll do that. Or when I'm working throughout the day, I'll just put on some of that music that can kind of keep me focused and grounded, and know that the work that I'm doing is for Him. And so I think it's important to kind of find those things that you can do that will help keep you grounded and keep you focused on that prayer, because I think music is a way, and praising and doing all of that is a way of prayer too,
Yes,
as well.
definitely.
Hmm.
Definitely. So, Miss Jackie, let's talk about prayer in the chaos. When we are in crisis or high stress meeting and focused prayer feels impossible, what does praying continually look like in those moments?
Ooh, that's good. I think it's it's always talking to God, right? It's that nonstop talking. It's always living with that awareness of His presence. And I think sometimes I've taken that for granted, and I'm sure other people have too. So yeah, so I think that that's a good reminder for me too, because sometimes I get so caught up in the daily grind of things, and it can be easy to focus on the here and now, right? But yeah, I think it's so important to have that constant awareness that he's present even in the little tiny things. Just kind of look for those little moments, and thank him for that. So yeah, I think that's one of the things we can do, is to do that, is to have that nonstop, prayer and time with him. Yeah.
hmm Time with
Um,
Him. So, Miss Jackie, in verses 4, this verse says to give thanks in all circumstances, not
mhm.
for all circumstances. Why
Right.
is it this distinction so theologically and practically crucial, especially when facing tragedy?
Right, exactly. Yeah, I'm glad you made that distinction, that it's in all circumstances, not for all
Mm-hmm.
circumstances. Yeah, exactly. So the Greek word for for thanks is Eucharisteo. That's the Greek word, which it's interesting because I grew up Catholic, and so Eucharist is a it kind of comes from that Greek of Eucharist, and so Eucharist is where it's we're kind of recreating the Last Supper, right? So when he said, "This is my body, this is my blood," that was a representation of him giving of himself. So it's very interesting that during that, in the Catholic Mass, that's where we express gratitude and we acknowledge that he's graceful towards that, and he gave his life for us. So it's kind of interesting how you can tie that to that, and so it's so we can thank him through that, and know that he's there, and there's that provision and the promises in the middle of hard things. So even when he went through that here on earth, he went through probably one of the worst circumstances, where he was human and he was divine, and yet he had those feelings. He even said to the Father, he said, "If you're willing, can you take this cup from me?" So he was battling that, but then he said, "Not my will but yours." So I think back to that, and I'm like, wow, that's amazing, that you can connect it to that. So when I saw that Greek word, I was like, oh, that's similar to Eucharist. So very interesting to make that connection. So yeah, it's neat because they say that the gratitude, it doesn't wipe away the pain, or it doesn't deny the pain, but it notices that God's there in the middle of it. So even for Jesus, he noticed that God was there in the middle of it. Even when he was facing his most tough circumstances that I don't think anyone could ever imagine facing, but he did it, and he knew God was the Father was there for him. So I think we can, if he went through that, I think we can handle what we're facing. So yeah, exactly. And
Definitely. So, Miss Jackie, the antidote to bitterness. How does the discipline of gratitude actively protect our hearts from resentment, cynicism, and bitterness when facing a genuine hardship or injustice?
Mm, yeah, that's a good question. I think one thing we can do, this is actually something a friend of mine said to me. This is a practice that I do every day. So even if I'm facing a hard day, good day, it doesn't matter. I always end the day with three things that I'm grateful for. And I think that really helps, because even if it was like one of the worst days I've ever had, I can still find three things that were good that happened, that I can be thankful for. So I think gratitude, that's what, to me, what gratitude is about, is being able to acknowledge those things and look for the good, even though there may be things that aren't so good, that we can still find those moments. And so And I think once we do that, and once we recognize that and we make that a regular habit, then I think we start to look at those situations as, well, this is not something that's against me or against whoever I'm praying for or anything like that, or someone in my life, but I look at it as an opportunity to, as they say, look for the silver lining, right? There's always a silver
Yes.
lining to it. So yeah, it can be hard though. I mean, yeah, I must admit it's not an easy thing to do, and I have to continually practice that because I forget to do that sometimes, and I'll get up in the middle of the night and I'll be like, oh, I forgot to do my three good things that I'm thankful for. So yeah, so it's tough sometimes, and I used to keep a gratitude journal years ago, and I should probably get back to doing that because it has all these different things that are really good, and there's apps out there that can really be good for that, and it gives you reminders, and you can actually do that. Or if you like more of writing it down physically, you can also keep a journal, a physical journal. But some people like the apps because they can upload pictures and all kinds of things like that. So just depends on your preference. But if you have that opportunity to do a gratitude journal, I found that things were really I was able to ground myself and center myself better. So I think I need to get back to that practice. I kind of let it fall away, and I think I need to kind of get back to that again. So yeah, it really helps. Yeah.
Definitely. So let's talk about the sacrifice of thanks. When thanks does not come naturally, is giving thanks then a sacrifice of praise? As I mentioned in Hebrews, what makes it sacrifice and why is it that pleasing to God?
Yes. Oh, that's really good too, Daniel. Wow. You're going deep tonight. I love this.
Deeper and
Yeah.
deeper.
Deeper and deeper. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. I think it's that yeah, when we make that sacrifice and that it talks about being pleasing to God, I think we can kind of take that and look at what Jesus did and his sacrifice that he did for us, and then we want to model after him as much as we can and be Christ-like, right? So I think we
Mhm.
can look to that, not necessarily in the physical way that he did that, and it wasn't for him just physical. He went through emotional toil and all of that during that time period. So yeah, but he knew it was for a greater good. So I think that's where we can look to that too, and we can say, okay, this this hard time that I'm going through, or this sacrifice that I'm making, is it seems like it's difficult right now, but there's there's going to be something better on the other side. And so I've had to go through those tough circumstances and make those hard sacrifices, but then at the end of it, when I look back on it now, I'm like, oh, well, yeah, that actually set me up for something better. So it's great because I almost think of it like a tapestry, and you see the tapestry, and then behind it, it's messy, right? It's not very pretty, but that's where God's working, and He's doing all the work, and then what you see is the end result of the tapestry. But when it's coming together, it doesn't look very pretty and stuff. But at the end of it, that's what I remember. Someone said that to me one time, and I was like, "Ooh, I really like that idea." And they said, "Yeah, it's yeah, when you're working on it, you don't see anything. You don't see the picture coming together, but at the end of it, but yeah, because I used to do crocheting and cross stitching with my grandmother when I was younger. And yeah, you look, so anyone that does cross stitching or anything like that, you'll know what I'm talking about, because you look at the front and it's all nice when it's done, but if you turn over the cross stitching, it's very messy, and you've got all kinds of stuff going on, and you're like, yeah. So that's kind of how I look at it with God. He's doing all the work behind the scenes, and it's not that pretty, but then the end result on the front end of it, and what people see, what's public, is much prettier. So yeah.
Much prettier for sure.
Yes.
Finding the foothold of thanks. When someone
Hmm.
is in deep pit of despair, what is small foothold of thanks they can look for?
Mm. Yeah, I think that's really good. I think maybe looking back on what God has done for them in the past, because we can look to the past and we can see, okay, maybe there may not be something similar that someone's been through, but maybe there's been a tough season before, and God was able to bring them through that through someone or through something. So I know for me, when I've been through tough times, I that's what I do is I look to the past and I said, well, he got me through this before and I'm okay. I'm here now. So, and I think that's a good way to look at it is just to look back to the past and how he's been able to come through before. And then I would just say, lean on his promises and lean on his the scriptures and help that anchor you. So I would recommend that as much as possible.
Yes, recommended indeed. So, Miss Jackie, when it feels fake, what do you say to a person who argues they're choosing to rejoice or give thanks when they don't feel it's just a spiritual pretending or bypassing the real emotions?
Hmm. Yeah, it's tough, right? To do
Mm-hmm.
that. So to be genuine and know that it's not just a front that someone's putting on, right? And just a mask. So I think yeah, I think that genuineness is so important. So I think, just being there and listening to someone and not necessarily giving them scripture or trying to but just maybe pointing them into to something and just yeah, I just think being there for someone and knowing that you're there, and then when they feel like they're at that point where it's really tough, um just be a listening ear for them, because sometimes they don't want to receive that advice at the moment. They just want someone to know that someone's there for them, right? More than anything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Definitely. And baby steps, Miss Jackie, baby steps. For
Yes.
someone who feels they fall three of these things, what is a one small achievable baby step they can take to they begin to cultivating their lifestyle?
I think probably just setting aside just 5 minutes a day, and just going into the scripture, or even just having that honest conversation with the Lord and just doing that. I think that can, 5 minutes a day. I think everybody can commit to that, and pick a time of day, whether, like you said, first thing in the morning when your mind is fresh and when you're well rested, or if you feel like at the end of the day, that's really good. And then when you feel like you've got that down, maybe they say, what does it take? 20. How many days does it take to for a habit um to become a habit? I'm trying to remember, is it 29 days or something like that? So they
Mm-hmm.
say do it consistently, right? I forget what it is now.
Yes, it's a
But
part
do
of
it,
a habit.
yeah, part of a habit. So if you do it for so many days, it becomes a habit. And then I would say after that, then you add another 5 minutes and just continually add to that until you get to the point where, so you could start maybe 5 minutes in the morning and then do that every day consistently for 30 days, maybe, and then add 5 minutes in the evening, do that consistently or something like that. And then just keep building on it and and those little baby steps, I think, really help. One thing I found that's really helpful, and other people might like this too, is they can download the YouVersion Bible app on their
Mm-hmm.
phone, and then it gives you a daily verse. So it's nice because it's just bite sized. And what's really nice is they have the streaks, which are really helpful. So every day you're in the app, it gives you a streak. And so I think I've been in the app now for a long time. Let me look really quick and see how long I've been
Yes,
into
go
it.
ahead, Miss
Yeah, I think
Jackie.
it's 600 and something days, so it's amazing. And if you happen to not go into it in the morning and forget, it'll give you a little pop-up that says don't miss your streak, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if people feel that motivation, if that helps them, having that daily reminder, I think, really helps too. So I really like the Bible app because it keeps me centered and gives me that verse of the day without overwhelming me to think, well, I have to read a whole chapter or something like that. So just build yourself up to it little by little, and I think you can. And then you'll start to do it a little bit more, and then and just yeah, day by day, right?
Yes, day by day. So, Miss Jackie, to wrap up our discussion for today, what is the
Yes.
First Thessalonians chapter 5, verse 16 to 18? What is all about for you?
Yeah, so I think one thing is we talked a little bit about this before we started was looking at who it was written for then, right? And then looking to see how it affects us now and how we can, even though it was written thousands of years ago, we can look at how it's for us now. So back then, the believers they were facing hostility. They were not sure about the future. They were trying to follow Jesus in a culture that didn't share their values. Okay, so that's the same as today, right? People are facing
Mm-hmm.
that. They're also facing
Yes.
anxiety, burnout, overload, uncertainty. So maybe, we often wonder, where's God in this? So it gives us that daily rhythm to hold on to God in a shaky world. So bridge those and see, what it was like for them now, what it's like for us today. And I think that's where we can really see that the scriptures are timeless for us, even with these. So, yep.
Yes, it's timeless, people. The triple command in First Thessalonians chapter 5, verse 16 to 18 presents a breathtakingly simple yet profoundly challenging blueprint for Christian life. Rejoice always. Pray continually. Give thanks in all circumstances. This is not a call to a shallow circumstantial happiness, but is a deep seated joy rooted in the unchanging character of God and the certainty of our salvation. Miss Jackie, what a lovely, lovely verse indeed. Thank you for
Yes.
sharing to the world. And would you like to plug in something?
Sure. So, if you want to support the work I'm doing, because I'm a fellow podcaster and now I'm co-hosting with you, so double
Yes.
the love and everything. But if anybody wants to support the work I'm doing with my podcast, Designing with Love, they can go to my Buy Me a Coffee. You've got my website up here, so they can support through here as well. I give multiple ways of supporting the work and keeping the mic on, as they say. And then if they want to connect with me professionally, they can go to LinkedIn and find me there. I'm very active. I'm on there every day now. So yeah, so I'd be happy to do that. And they can also do consulting work with me too if they want to learn more about that. Feel free to reach out to me as well.
Yes, people, let's support Miss Jackie Pellegrin because if we support her for sure, more and more empowering episodes of the podcast Designing with Love, and for the upcoming book as well. When it will be
Yes.
published, Miss Jackie?
Well, let's see. I'm hoping to get it out to publishers. Hopefully after Thanksgiving, the holiday, before the end of the year, and then hopefully if I get a publisher, I can get it maybe published by the summer of next year. I'm hoping. So, yeah, I was gonna go the self publishing route, but I think I'm gonna try to go with a publisher and see if I can get a bite somewhere. So we'll see what happens.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. And I'm very grateful that Miss Jackie say yes to being my co-host on Bible Verses 101. I'm from the bottom of my heart, Miss Jackie. I'm thank you so much.
Yes, it's an honor. Thank you for offering. And so I'm glad to partner with you on this.
It's officially people. Miss Jackie is one of my co-hosts on Bible Verses 101. So Miss Jackie, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much, Daniel. I will talk to you again soon.
Yes, more to come, people. See you soon.